She's way in over her head. I feel bad for her. She's like a real housewife. She's not supposed to be doing this.
All right, so Tim Dillon, the popular comedian and podcaster, has gone off on Trump and his administration after their failure to, properly govern the country, as well as their complete and utter lack of transparency over the Epstein files. And this is probably a much bigger deal than you think, because Tim Dillon actually has a large conservative audience, especially of young male conservatives, because he has a very cynical, satirical view of American politics. He's criticized the left quite a bit, as well as the right, and he even has described himself as a more conservative in the past. So the guy has a large conservative platform, and him coming out directly attacking the administration, attacking Trump, and him coming out publicly disagreeing with his administration, disagreeing with the conservative movement of the moment is very telling for how the tide shift is happening amongst conservative males, like in the case of Tim Dillon and his audience. Because things have gotten so out of hand that people like Tim Dillon can't even keep their mouth shut, and he delivers this amazing rebuke of the administration.
Pam Bondi, you got to remember, Pam Bondi is from Florida. She was, I believe, the Attorney General of the state of Florida. She's way in over her head. I feel bad for her. She's like a real housewife. She's not supposed to be doing this. They all get in there and they all think, they all go, oh, we're gonna, justice is here.
Okay, just before we move on, yes, that is a photo of Jeffrey Epstein's island behind him. And it is one of the weird temple structures that we've seen on the island. Who knows what it was used for. And yeah, that's behind him while he's delivering this statement, which, again, satirical, very, a cynical view of American politics. And he just has Epstein's island behind him. It's pretty funny. But the words that he is saying in front of that objectively insane background are important figureheads of the conservative movement of Donald Trump's administration. He's calling out Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, right? He's directly calling out these centerpieces, the heads of the administration. I feel like I've heard Pam Bondi's name more in the past few weeks than I have any other attorney general throughout the entire 4 to 8 years they were attorney general, right? And you would think, right? You would think that after Trump won, the conservative MAGA movement and the Heritage Foundation, all these people would pick better representatives for the conservative movement, and they would maybe pick people who are smarter in their maniacal activities, which of course we don't want, but you'd think they would do that because Trump's cabinet was full of complete morons in his first term, right? We all know this, right? We saw it, we lived it, right? And now here we are in Trump too, and you would think that they had learned their lessons, but no, they're still hiring these complete incompetent morons like Dan Bongino, who doesn't even work for them anymore, like Kash Patel, who's done a terrible job at everything he's been doing, Pam Bondi, who can't seem to answer a question well in a congressional hearing, right? Like, all of these people are just complete morons flubbing every situation they're given.
The Avengers are here, her and Kash and Bongino. He's already back to podcasting in under a year.
Yeah, in the case of Bongino, I feel like he was a podcast bro who is so excited to be able to release the Epstein files, and then he actually got to look at them, and he saw that he's like, oh shit, oh, it's all of my friends. Oh, okay. Wow, damn. Like, it's like, so we can't actually release these. Like, that's the feeling that I get from this. He saw the Epstein files. He knew that he couldn't say anything about them because it's all of his buddies. And then he left. And then he quit, right? Like that, he just had to go back to podcasting because that's what he does best. I mean, that's what you get when you hire a podcaster to be the deputy head of the FBI, right? Like, the deputy head of the FBI was a meathead podcaster in the first place is just a crazy sentence. Because Bongino clearly had no clue what he is getting into, right? He saw this opportunity to grift to the right, to become a good friend of Donald Trump in the administration and be, FBI and one of Trump's goons, and what a great position, but not realizing that you actually have responsibility now. Right, you actually have a lot of important, sensitive information that you cannot share, and that you actually have, this information that would be very a huge deal if it was released, and so couldn't handle the smoke, so we got out of the kitchen.
These people are all unprepared. They're all unprepared for what is about to happen. They don't know. She doesn't know what's about to happen. She has no idea. And then they're given a choice. They're like, you're involved now in this cover-up. This is you. This is on you. You're in it with us. Kash Patel's in it because he's like probably being, he's another one's being handled. He's another one's being either controlled to some degree. He's lying. He knows.
Yeah, just the fact that anyone believes these incompetent scum anymore is just insane, right? Like, just in general, right? Like, I feel like it's been clear from the get-go that this is a insane cover-up, right? Like, from Pam Bondi in her congressional hearing and things she's been doing, everything that this administration does is trying to cover up for the Epstein files. And then at the same time, Kash Patel is covering up the Epstein files at the behest of Donald Trump, no question about it, from the beginning, being on Joe Rogan saying, we don't have any more information, whatever we have, you have, or saying, we're going to be transparent, releasing just like black pages of redactions, or even this most recent time when they're releasing, this is the release of the Epstein files, and everything is blacked out. There's names that are redacted that shouldn't have been through the congressional law that was passed, and then there's victims' names that were actually public, which shouldn't have been, right? They've just botched this through and through. And Tim Dillon is on it here, right? He recognizes the writing on the wall, and he sees that these people got roped into this situation, and now they're just puppets for the administration. And when Trump says jump, they say how high, right? That is where we're at now. Dillon also talks about the fact that it is complete BS that all of these friends of Epstein didn't know what he was into. Right? Like all these people were saying, like, yeah, I was friends with him because there's pictures of them, so they can't ignore it. It's like, yeah, I was friends with him and I knew the guy, but I didn't know him like that. You never had any questions? Right? That's a little fishy. That's a little fishy. And Dillon calls that out here in a great way. Take a look.
There was clearly some knowledge about what the man did. No one's friends with Jeffrey Epstein and has no idea what he's doing. Nobody has no idea. There's got to be You're at least curious about what he's doing. Your wife's like, why does he have that island, Tom?
Yeah, hello? And I feel like everything we've seen in the emails is like Epstein and his associates didn't shut up about the fact that what they were doing, right? I feel like every single time he opened his mouth, he was like, you know what I do, right? Like that was their favorite hobby, to talk about all the depravity they were doing. And yet all of these people around Epstein, all of these people who spent hours on his plane and on his island and has parties and email communications back and forth, they're like, I had no clue what this guy was doing. It seemed like that's all he did. Like, listen, if you knew the guy, you weren't coming to him for tax help. You weren't coming to him for financial advice. All right, that wasn't what you were doing him for. All of these people knew him, and everyone knew him. Everyone seemed to know him, but no one knew about it. Okay, not true. Actually not true. Tim Dillon here is calling that out, but he hasn't just been critical of the Trump administration for their failure to properly investigate and be transparent about the Epstein files, but he also has smoke for ICE and the way that they have handled the entire situation there as well. Take a look.
It's fundamentally cruel and inhumane, and it doesn't take into account any specific considerations for people that have been here a long time. Justifiably, you're going to provoke a lot of anger because this is barbarism.
Yeah, like we've seen the videos, right? We know the actions of ICE are inhumane, right? Like there's no cover-up potential here, right? Like everyone has a smartphone, everyone has a camera, everyone is a citizen journalist, in this moment to get those videos, and we've all seen it, right? Like, and the ICE department just got $75 billion extra dollars of funding from Trump's one big beautiful bill. We're gonna fund ICE to the moon. That's what we're gonna do. Like it feels like that's all he cares about, right? Is giving tax breaks to his friends and giving ICE more money so that he can be in power longer, right? Like that's it, right? And Tim is just calling it like he sees it here. And I think that's a good litmus test for where the conservative, young male conservative mind is at right now, right? Because we see the echo chambers, right? If you go on Twitter or if you go on social media platforms, you see a lot of echo chambers, right? Of conservative echo chambers of people being like, I love Trump, and it gets like 30,000 likes. 20,000 of those are not from the US or bots or whatever, right? Like it's not as like there are more of us than there are of them is what I'm trying to say. And I think that there's a lot of people in the margins, in the centrist, they might have some conservative opinions here, liberal ones here. Like that's a large percentage of American voters. There's a large number of people who vote red and then vote blue and then vote red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Like there's not straight ticket voters always, right? And I feel like a lot of those people are in this moment where they're looking at what this current administration is doing, and they're getting a bad taste in their mouth for the Conservative Party, for the MAGA movement, for Donald Trump and his administration, and for the people who support him, right? And a lot of these people may have supported him in the past and may see him now and be like, what the hell are you doing, dude? I voted for you because you were transphobic, and so am I. Like that's like what people have been voting for Trump for, and then they see the actual actions that he's doing, and they're just like, no, this is disgusting. This isn't what I want, right? So seeing someone who isn't a leftist, right, who isn't a liberal, really, right, maybe he has some liberal opinions, and just come out and say these things is really nice, right? It shows that he is taking a stance and that his base isn't going to attack him for it, right? He feels confident enough and comfortable enough in his potentially conservative male base that they're not going to rip him to shreds for criticizing Donald Trump or the way the handling of the Epstein files or ICE or anything like that, right? It shows just how much Donald Trump and his admin have lost the plot and have lost the goodwill of the American people. And these podcaster manosphere bros, Tim Dillon is, again, he's a little bit of a different character because he has also criticized the right many times and he has some left-leaning politics, right? He's not like a Joe Rogan or like a Ben Shapiro or a Andrew Tate, these very right wing, manosphere guys. But he is in that space. And all of those people were pushing for the release of the Epstein files for years. That's all they wanted. That's all they wanted. We want the Epstein files. And Trump said, we're going to give it to you. Most transparent administration. And then they didn't give it to him. Right. And now they're like, they're not drinking the Kool-Aid and not being like, well, they did it. No, they're like, no, you didn't do it. This is wrong. And it shows that Trump doesn't care about them. He doesn't care about the victims. He doesn't care about anything except enriching and keeping himself and his friends in power. That's it. And Tim Dillon recognizes it. So hats off to Tim Dillon for this amazing takedown. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's a great way to show your support. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And please do us a favor and subscribe to the channel. It's a great way to help out. All right, I think that's going to do it for me. I'm Iago Lashua. Have a nice day. Goodbye.